Welcome, Rotarians and guests, to the 5,354th meeting of the Rotary Club of San Jose. As you know, your president, Sal Pizarro, I hope you know that. This is meeting number 4 for me. I'm still here. We've survived a month. Feels good. I would like to thank the program committee led by Charlie McCullum for greeting us today. And of absolutely equal importance, I'd like to thank Bert George for providing the wine for today's reception. And a big shout out to Tim and Sandra Gill for pouring today. They did a great job. They gave me a little extra for when the meeting is done. So at this time, we're going to have a little fun presentation here. We're going to have singer-songwriter Ren Geisick from well, if you've been around San Jose, you may have heard her perform before. We're hoping to have her here in person. Unfortunately, COVID occasionally plays a hand, and she was exposed this weekend. But we did ask her to join us on Zoom. And here she is. Ren, great to have you. And I'm going to give the floor to you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to sing 2 songs for you that I've written. This first one is called The Place I Plan to Go. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to feeling like all the plans that we had in the last 2 years haven't really panned out. And we're having to accept some new realities. So this is called The Place I Plan to Go. Guitar sits in the middle, the lights greasing at dawn. The cat is gently purring and the coffee pot is on. The dishes from our dinner are sitting in the sink. The time it passes slowly, but it doesn't dry the all that came before me is settled on my path, but the place I planned to go, it didn't look like that. Morning walks through Worcester, my wandering mind reflects. I might have been a nomad, but I couldn't find the map. And every time I turn around, another year has passed. I guess that's just the way it goes. I never stop to ask. Little chance of rain, there's a clear and open path, but the place I planned to go, it didn't look like that. Oh no, losing track, counting days, loving life in different ways. Holding back, hanging on, look ahead to get along. Losing track, counting days, loving life in different ways. Holding back, hanging on, look ahead to get along. And all that came before me is settled on my path, but the place I planned to go, it didn't look like that. It didn't look like that. It didn't look like that. Okay. It's so hard in these situations because you just can't hear the reaction, but I'm sure, yep, okay, woohoo! This next one is one that I wrote with my friend John Dryden, a little bit more jazzy. And it's called Love Song Number 1. Quite appropriate. I'm getting married in a month, so. Holding your hand so tight, watching the purple sky, and I guess I know what love is like. The times I love the most are when you hold me close. Will you always stay here with me? Let me tell you all the ways that I'm loving you today. Still, you'll never know what I mean. Looking through colored glass, watching the seasons pass. Still, my love for you grows and grows. Knowing our love will last, I can't forget the best and all the pain that came before. Let me tell you all the ways that I'm loving you today. Still, you'll never know what I mean. Let me tell you once again, I will love you till the end, and I'll tell you all the ways that I'm loving you today. Still, you'll never know what I mean.
Thank you, Ren. Oh, thank you for joining us. I'm so glad you were able to do that, and congratulations on your upcoming wedding. I hope you don't have to play the wedding as well, providing
no.
the music, but you'd be great. Hey, I want to call up Brendan Rawson from San Jose Jazz right now to tell us about this great event in San Jose, downtown San Jose, that's coming up in just 9 short days, right?
Excellent. Thank you, Sal. Thank you very much. Glad to be here. That was great. Loved hearing Ren perform. She was actually one of our Jazz Aid Fund awardees this year. So it's been a great program that San Jose Jazz was able to start during the pandemic, and it's fun to see the outgrowth of it. I think we're going to have, about half a dozen different Jazz Aid Fund recipients that are performing as part of this year's festival. So Sal was saying, we're thrilled to be coming back August, 2 weekends away, August 12 to 14. Pretty much at the size that we've been at in years past, a dozen stages, 130 some odd performances over the 3 days. It is really it's a big tent festival. Folks, have my ideas of what jazz might be and their conception of it. So we do have a lot of straight ahead, hard bop, bebop jazz that's part of the festival. There's also Latin tropical and cumbia on the Latin tropical stage on South First Street. There'll be big bands, there'll be R&B and funk, so a lot for everybody. We're excited to have a lot of folks coming out this year. It's been encouraging to see in terms of ticket sales and tracking against where folks are coming from the region. It's going to be a great weekend. So hope folks are able to come on out and celebrate San Jose, celebrate the Jazz Festival.
Thank you, Brent. And you've got flyers on your tables, and it's sanjosejazz.org if you want to get tickets. So great. Okay, let's move on and get our red badgers with our traveling microphones. You can introduce yourselves. Let's start over here to my right.
Hi all, my name is Trisha Creason Valencia. I'm a documentary filmmaker and my company's called Flaca Films. And I'm a red badger.
Yay, thank you, Trisha. Emily?
Hi, everybody. I'm Emily Robin. I am a physician. I work in the pediatric emergency department at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital, and my sponsors are Mike Conniff and Steve Borkenhagen.
Great.
Oh, I forgot to say that. My sponsors, Heather Lerner.
Thank you both. Okay, so visiting Rotarians and guests, if you could please stand and we'll get you introduced. And welcome to everyone who is joining us on Zoom as well, including guests. Start with you, Steve Prouty.
Well, it's so good to see you, President. Wait a minute. I just went completely blank.
Sal.
At any rate, my guest today is Dr. Josh Sickle. He's my neighbor, and this is his first time visiting. It's so good to have you here today, Doctor.
Welcome. Great to have you. Past President Carl.
President President Sal.
Different guy.
I'm so thrilled to have my dear neighbor, who was a teacher, started a financial planning company, eventually operated and then sold it, Sandra Moll.
One of my favorite people.
President Sal, Ray Castaneda, and my guest today is Gabby Chavez Lopez. She's the executive director for Silicon Valley Latina Coalition.
Wonderful organization. Thank you. Welcome, Gabby.
Sal, I've got my good friend Scott Johnson, who's a retired fundraiser, retired military, and a member of the Mountain View Rotary. Scott Johnson.
Welcome. Great to have you here, Scott. Mike Fulton.
President Sal, I've got my son Mitch Fulton here. He's with Merrill Lynch, downtown San Jose. Second meeting, ready to submit his application.
I like the look of the newer model. Mike?
President Sal, Dick Conniff, a retired community banker, and it's my real pleasure to introduce Robert Massey. Robert is the new general director of Symphony Silicon Valley, or San Jose, excuse me, stepping into the shoes of Andrew Bales. Robert just did a cross-country drive from Louisville, Kentucky, where he's with his family, and he's here. We're thrilled to have him on board. So.
We're thrilled to have you here today.
Good afternoon, President Sal, Connie Alvarez, and today my guest is Mimi Hernandez, and future Rotarian. Mimi is the Executive Director of Prosperity Lab. Prosperity Lab is a group of dedicated business owners and leaders that offers leadership programs to all the residents of Santa Clara County and beyond. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to have you here. And it looks like that's it. So we're going to move on to a new member introduction. If I could have Rod Diridon and Abe Walcott, please come to the stage.
I hope you can hear me through this thing. If I take it off, my wife, the COVID cop, shoots me. Abe Walcott is a genius. Okay? No way to get around that. He born and raised in our valley, took a little cycle down to Irvine, came back through Santa Clara. You see Santa Cruz, where he got his PhD, then went on to study at postdoctoral work at UTEP down in Texas, to MIT, and then to Columbia. Did remarkable work at each place. Then came back to San Jose State, where they built him a lab, and he's now doing unique research on something or other that I can't pronounce. He's also mentoring students from a minority background, used to call minority, not anymore, background at San Jose State. Has mentored 55 of them, recruiting them into tech opportunities. He's has attracted all kinds of grants to the university. He's also a member of the Santa Cruz Education Foundation, which is where he and his wife live in Scotts Valley. We met him through his wife, Lucky, and they live, as I said, in Scotts Valley with children, Emily, Tisa, and Atari. Please greet the newest Rotarian, a researcher, doctor, PhD, and humanitarian, and father, Dr. Abe Wolcott.
It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Mr. Deardon. It's been a long journey for me to come back to the Bay Area, but I have to give it to my wife especially, Lucky and Angel Wolcott. And without her and her dedication and love, I wouldn't be here to help serve the community and to be, I hope, to continue to contribute in a powerful way. And to be here as a part of a legacy. And when I was at Norm Minetta's memorial down the street, I really understood the power of legacy and what that meant. And to be with a group of people who understand the power of legacy and doing good work, just to be with you all is an honor and a blessing. But as we move forward out of COVID and do good things, I just want to let you know that I've got many interests. I love jazz. So when you flip over the card, you're going to see Lee Fields. I saw Lee Fields over in Brooklyn, great soul singer. So make sure to get to Jazz Fest. I will meet you there with my family to party because I need to do that. I have not had a summer. We just came back from a synchrotron run at Slack. I've got a symposium that I'm organizing right across the street. If anybody is involved or interested in virtual reality, augmented or extended reality, I have 5 open seats for the symposium that I'm organizing, which is right at the MLK Library. Just tap me on the shoulder and y'all can show up. Free food, VR goggles, and all kinds of fun stuff. But moving forward, I just really appreciate the opportunity to be here and to serve the community and to do it with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Rob. Okay, and we're all going to be out at the Jazz Festival. We'll see you there. We'll see you there. Okay, next up, we're going to have another fun thing we're bringing back for this year, which is Ring the Bell. For those of you who have not experienced this before, we've got this lovely bell here. This is a chance for you to share your good news. Each bell ring represents a $100 pledge to donate to our endowment fund, which funds a lot of our programs. So hopefully you've got some really good news to share for that. Maybe multiple things. I think, let's see. Where's Jason Stein? Okay, Jason, can we get because I know Jason Stein has some news to share, so let's start with him.
Thank you, President Sal. Jason Stein, classification unemployed. Two things. One is my middle daughter, Rebecca, recently got engaged. She's going to be married next June, so I'm super excited about that. So ring the bell for that. Second one, I just wanted to, after almost 18 years, step down as the Scout Executive for the Boy Scouts, and I just wanted to thank the club and many of its members for your support over the years. I'm truly grateful.
Great. I'm proud to ring it twice for you.
Hey, President Sal, Sean Cottle back here in the back.
Ken McDonald?
Impersonating the role, or playing the role of Ken McDonald this morning or this afternoon will be me. Anyway, I'd like to have you ring the bell because on July 9th, one of the reasons why I haven't been around for the last 3 weeks is Emily, my daughter, was married on July 9th to Jake Omenson. So please ring the bell for her.
Great reason. Mr. Assistant Governor.
Mr. President, I'm wanted to ring the bell twice, one for each of the COVID cycles that I've just been through successfully.
Well, we're thrilled to have you back. Another good ring.
President Sal, our family has grown this week. We welcomed our first granddaughter, Sloan Maggie, who was born to our son Ben and his wife Nicole. And she, so ring the bell once for Sloan.
Okay.
She's a week old today. And I'd like to kind of make up for lost time and ring the bell 5 times for our 5 grandsons that now comprise the all-encompassing cousin crew. And that would be Alec and Rory up in Bellingham, Washington, and Gareth, Cameron, and Silas in Denver, Colorado.
Fantastic.
So-
Okay, so here's one for the new one. And then congratulations. Ray.
Yes, I'd like to ring the bell for our grandson, who is 11 weeks old now, Luke Castañeda, and he's a handsome little guy. What can I say? Runs in the family.
President Sal, I didn't know you were going to do this today, but I have to tell you, as I watched Rod Yerdon up there introducing a new member, I was struck. I was struck by how amazing it is that after all these years, Rod Yerdon continues to bring new members to this club. Membership, of course, as we all know, is the lifeblood of the organization. And to hear Rod continue to do it, and also having gone through what he's gone through with COVID, I want to ring the bell 5 times in honor of Rod Yerdon.
That was really
Gay
nice.
Crawford.
Thank you. Gay Crawford, Media Consulting, and I'm going to ring the bell once. And I remember Dave Henderson said, Gay, you're the face of cancer in Silicon Valley. I was like, ugh. But Cancer Care Point is celebrating its 10th, its decade of care, August 28th, and having a wonderful garden party. And I've been selected by the American Cancer Society to go to DC to advocate for cancer causes, and that'll be in September, so I'm looking forward to that.
I can think
But
of
one
no one
ring.
better.
President Sal, again, my classification is slightly better memory than Steve Prouty. So I was listening to that gal who was singing.
Yeah.
And I was musing about our AV here. I really honestly believe that probably of all the Rotary clubs in all the world, we have the best AV. And I want to ring the bell twice for whoever put this thing together. You could hear her, you could switch back and forth. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That was twice, right?
President Sal, Bonnie Bamberg, Historic Preservation Consulting, and I want to ring the bell twice. Once because our daughter was married last week, yay, and she's going to be 60 in another few days. So thank you.
So, Steve Prouty.
Well, here I am again, and now my memory's working a little better. I want to ring the bell twice, and Jay beat me to it. I was going to ring the bell, and I still am ringing the bell for Rod Yerdon. First, to thank him for everything he has contributed to our city and our county over the years. And second, as a member of the membership committee, just for his dedication to bringing new people and exposing them to Rotary. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I second that. And Past President Fernando.
Thank you. I'd like to ring the bell twice. Once because my son, my youngest son Daniel, has joined
the city attorney's office here in San Jose as the deputy city attorney for the land use and planning. He started on Monday. And the other one is for my pal Rod, to echo what everyone has said. And by the way, Steve, remember that song by Paul Simon, You Can Call Me Sal.
Thank you, Fernando. Oh, Kathleen.
Hi, President Sal. This is a little belated, but back in June, we had a Red Badge and Foundation Board event. And per usual, the Culinary Hospitality Committee put on a fabulous spread. And I want to ring the bell. Matt Breaker leading the team and Leslie were the first to be there and the last to leave. Cindy and Jeff Faulkner came in as past presidents and provided the spread. I can't thank you all enough. It was a great event. And you all deserve your own ring, but I'm only going to ring it once.
Thank you, and I think that's it. That was great. Thanks for starting the year off great with that. Now we've got another fun thing to do, which is that Roger Mylock has donated tickets to the 49ers-Packers game on August 12th. That's a Friday night. You can see all the information up here. 100% of the proceeds go to the Rotary Club Foundation. These are premium club level seats. They are worth, the face value of the 2 seats is $900. Roger, what do you think we should start this at? $500. Okay, let's start at $500. Anyone $500 for these tickets? Oh, well, I see Bert George here. $500 from Bert George. So it's 500, looking for 6, looking for 600. Anyone want these 2 great tickets? $600. Sean O'Kane, $600. Looking for 7. 7. Seoyoung, our speaker today. Look at her bringing it in. Okay, looking for $800 for these 2 tickets. Anyone at 8? 700. Bert George, 800. Okay. $800. Bert George, proxying for Seoyoung. Going once, going twice, sold to Bert, and given to Seoyoung. Congratulations. Okay. We are running behind, so we are once again going to skip the thing that I skipped last week. But we're going to get there. And I would like to bring up Larry Donatoni to please introduce our speaker.
Thank you, President Sal, and it is my pleasure to be able to introduce today's program. The speaker is Seoyoung Kim. She is the Finance Department Chair at Santa Clara University's Levy School of Business. She also serves as the Associate Professor of Finance and Business Analytics. Professor Kim is an expert in structured financial instruments, fixed income pricing, and optimal restructuring of distressed debt. Kind of interesting. You probably have some questions for her on that. Her expertise extends to crypto assets, NFTs, and other blockchain-based and blockchain-adjacent ventures on which she consults, written extensively, including her most recent book, NFTs for Dummies, and another book currently in progress. Prior to joining Santa Clara, she held faculty positions at Purdue and she held a BA in mathematics from Rice and a PhD in finance from Emory University. Let us extend and welcome to our speaker, Seoyoung Kim.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm hoping that if I just click this, is it going to go straight into my slides? Yes. Okay. I actually asked for this mic because I thought standing there for 20 minutes idly, I might as well be giving this through Zoom. And we've seen so many Zoom presentations. The pros and cons, though, are I've had to check my zipper numerous times today. Because during COVID, I was only wearing sweatpants, so you just pull them up. And now I'm deathly afraid that I'm gonna forget to zip my pants. It is a serious thing. Before I get into this, I kind of want to do a temperature check on the room. I wonder how many people own crypto or have owned crypto? Okay, that's not even a fourth. So of the people who own some crypto or have owned it, how many have owned an NFT?
Okay.
Who took the under and who took the over on our bet?
Okay, I'm going to
We made a bet, but we're not sure what we bet and who won. But this surprises me. I thought at least one person would hold an NFT. So I wonder, of the people who are holding crypto, can you, what crypto are you holding? Okay, so Jamie's holding Bitcoin. Jaime or Jamie? Jaime. Jaime is holding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Jaime, have you actually used Ethereum other than to trade it for Bitcoin? Okay, so there were other people with their, what coin? What were you holding? Rally coin. That sounds like a utility token. Have you used it for anything besides just buying it and holding it?
You want me to make you some lunch?
That actually makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Just let me think. I don't want to have a sandwich because we're going to have the pizza. How about making me some soup?
We should talk about that.
And shall we go into what you want to, what kind of soup you want?
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully this confuses you less after today. But have you actually used the Ethereum or you're just holding it? Okay. I want to have conversations with, oh yes, so what crypto are you holding? ApeCoin. So ApeCoin is a governance token. Have you actually locked up your ApeCoin to participate in governance? Okay. Well, hopefully I can explain what a lot of these tokens are for, but also disabuse a lot of notions. So there are going to be 3 key themes I want to cover today in my 20 minutes of fame. So the first theme is I want to make sure that we know that this is about a method of record keeping. So the question is, what are you keeping a record of? That's what this is about, a method of record keeping. The other thing that I want to cover is, well, if this is so great, everyone says, why aren't more people using it, right? I mean, less than a fourth of people in this room hold crypto. No one has even used it. Well, the UI UX is really bad. The on-ramp education is still awful. And so if we look right here, so this is a Bitcoin ATM. Has anyone used a Bitcoin ATM? There are Bitcoin ATMs in San Francisco. This I took when I was in Switzerland. And Switzerland, Zug was considered the crypto capital of the world for quite some time. They had very favorable policy toward the development of crypto projects. So what you do right here, this Bitcoin ATM, is you literally insert cash into this ATM, and then out pops, what, right? So my poor mother is always an example. You can't have a paper wallet like that spit out. My mom won't know what to do with it, and then she'll probably lose it, right? So this right here should be your easiest entry point into crypto, but it's still freaking confusing. I don't know if any of you, or probably those of you who hold crypto, know what you would do with that paper wallet. Those of you who've never touched crypto would look at this and wonder, why did I put money in this BTM, right? So the on-ramp education is awful. UI UX is still really bad. Those things are changing. So even today, when I first started getting serious about this space was in early 2017. It was so bad then, and now people still find it confusing, and I'm like, no, you should see what it looked like in 2017. So I like to keep what I call my legacy slides to show people, the history of how this thing went about. Okay, so of course we can't talk about this without talking about Bitcoin. It all starts with Bitcoin, and like I said, don't think of this as some esoteric volatile asset that many people think is a get-rich-quick scheme, or people just look at it as a lottery ticket. Really, this is about a disintermediated method of record keeping. And the question is, what are you keeping a record of? So I imagine if you think about the evolution of money, you start with stones and people realize they have to get it from one end of the island to the other. So then you turn it into a wheel. And then people are probably needing to leave the island and they think, how are we going to take this big stone? Then, fast forward, you use gold, silver, investment grade diamonds. Fast forward a little bit, you get comfortable with fiat money. Now the question is, are we comfortable with cryptocurrency? And so the first implementation, the widespread implementation of this was in 2009, and that's when Bitcoin was born. Now, if I think about, can we go? Yes, okay. Now, if we think about this method of record keeping, what is so critical in modern society is that when we exchange assets, we are really exchanging the legal right to access that asset. Because finders keepers isn't a thing anymore, right? We leave our caves every day. We don't need someone to guard it. We know that when we come back home, if someone else is inside that home, they don't have the legal right to access it. They're not on the public record of ownership. We leave our cars on the street. If we come back and someone else is in that car, they don't have the legal right to access it. So it's all about record keeping. And what are you keeping a record of? It could be of home ownership, it could be of cars, or it could be a store of wealth. So if we think, the other theme that I want to weave in here, because the book I'm working on right now that'll come out at the end of the year is DeFi for Dummies. That's decentralized finance. So if we think about the evolution of record keeping, so primitive DeFi was you just don't have a ledger, right? So cash, there's no ledger. Now, I wonder if someone wants to proffer, if you were going to do something illegal, would you rather do it in cash or in Bitcoin? Cash, both? Cash? I mean, Bitcoin, obviously you're not supposed to do illegal things. You're supposed to say, no, I would never do anything illegal, right? So all of you are kicked out of Rotary, basically. Okay, so the answer really is, though, it depends. At least with cash, there isn't a trail. Bitcoin, you'll come to see, there is a public ledger that's memorialized for all time, and you can trace every transaction of every single account. And you can see all the other accounts that account has dealt with. With cash, so why I say it depends. If you think about why countries have retired their large banknotes, it's because these large banknotes were no longer being used as a store of wealth. It was being used to facilitate illegal activity. Because if you look at 1,000 franc notes to carry $10 million, that takes one suitcase. Scroll down and look at how to get $10 million of cash in $100 bills. That takes 7.5 suitcases. That's 220 pounds. That's a lot to worry about. It might get stolen. It might sustain water damage. It might be burned up in a fire. There's a lot that's going to happen. Now, the other thing, though, both with crypto and cash, no one can literally spend $10 million in cash. When you hear about all cash offers for a home, you're not allowed to show up with 220 pounds of cash and go buy something in Los Altos Hills, right? It needs to be in the banking system. And if you're a mid-level successful criminal and you make $10,000 a month, then that's easy. You rent from a private landlord. You pay in cash when you go to restaurants. You can even deposit little bits of that cash into a bank account. But if you're a really successful criminal and you have $10 million, cleaning that is going to be very difficult. So both in cash as well as crypto, it is going to take an immense amount of creativity and patience. Because if you have $10 million, you can't open a fake coffee shop in San Jose and say, oh my God, I just made $10 million last month. That doesn't make sense, right? You need to open up lots of different fake businesses, and some of them you actually have to run, right? And then you have to slowly pretend like these businesses are making money over a long period of time. going to be similar with crypto, and I'll talk about that when we get into the public ledgers. Okay, so we have no ledgers. Then we have private ledgers. This is what we're used to in modern CFI or centralized finance, right? We have an intermediary that we trust. We trust Chase or Bank of America. I know that Wells Fargo had that scandal where they made up all these accounts like 10 years ago. I would still leave my money there, right? So in modern finance, in developed economies, we have private ledgers. Now, what's interesting now is we have pure DeFi, but modern DeFi. So primitive DeFi was no ledgers. Modern DeFi, we now have ledgers that are completely public. So what's interesting about this type of record keeping, everyone can see the ledger. Anyone can also write to the ledger. That's the thing that's counterintuitive. And so you'll just have to take my word for that one because we don't have time to get into the underlying consensus mechanism that makes a public blockchain work. But here what you have is a public system that anyone can see for all time. And this is unheard of because when you swipe your credit card at Walmart, Walmart cannot see everywhere else you swiped that credit card. That's why Walmart and all these businesses want you to friend them on Facebook or add them on LinkedIn. They want to use social media analytics to see more about you. Whereas with crypto, once you interact with someone with one account, they can look on the public block explorer and see everyone else you've interacted with. So if you're going to do something illegal in crypto, well, if you have 10 million bucks, at least you don't have 220 pounds of paper that you have to protect. But this is still going to be very difficult to get into a system where you can actually spend $10 million worth of crypto because you're going to have to get it into a legal system, right? To do that, if you got your $10 million from ransomware, that account is automatically blacklisted. So any legitimate entity will not accept crypto from that account. Now, it's also suspicious if there's an account that just received $10 million from the blacklisted account. That sounds like someone made the other account to hop over. So there are blockchain analytics firms where any legitimate entity that is going to touch crypto needs to hire at least one blockchain analytics firm to show that they're serious about anti-money laundering, AML provisions, right? Otherwise, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So either way, it's not easy to just do illegal things with crypto. You're again going to have to be very patient and creative. You're going to have to create 100 different accounts. And it is considered suspicious activity if you hop from one account to the other in rapid sequence. That is not normal crypto activity, right? So the blockchain analytics firms will flag that. It's sort of like with a bank. They fill these SARs, right? They're literally called suspicious activity reports. That's what blockchain analytics is doing now with crypto. And this is all public. Okay, so now we've talked about traditionally, we are more familiar with a private ledger, but what do you do if you don't trust your central record keeper? So what you do, first and foremost, let's say you don't trust Prof. Kim's grade book. First and foremost, I need to make it a public ledger. I need to let everybody have a replicated copy downloaded on all their computers so they can see my grade book at all times, right? It needs to be distributed. Now, we want to make it immutable. You can't go back and alter a past record. So we need to make it so that if someone submitted an assignment and it's in the grade book, you can't go back and delete it, okay? We also want it to be cryptographically secure. So just because it's public and permissionless, we don't want there to be all these fake grades being entered. So it needs to be a trustless system, and we want it to run without centralized leadership. So anyone should be able to view the records, and anyone should be able to add to the records while still making it tamper-proof. That's the beauty behind the blockchain technology with Ethereum, Bitcoin, any of the crypto that you might imagine. Okay, so why might something like this matter? Like I said, I still trust Wells Fargo. I don't really care. But a lot of parts of the world, they suffer bank runs. They don't trust their central intermediary to be a record keeper. Argentina 20 years ago devolved into chaos, and the president even quit the country. Ghana a couple of years ago had a big run on the bank and people couldn't get their money out. And it's not just about runs on the bank. I'd say that even in developed economies, the vast majority of us are just one generation removed from being forcibly chased out of your home. I say this because my father was born in the middle of the Korean War. My mom was born right at the end. This is a chaotic time. The capital, Seoul, was captured and recaptured 4 times. Families were permanently split, and they're never allowed to see each other again. And now you have North Korea and South Korea, right? So if we think about last year, we saw this happen in Afghanistan, and people are trying to get their money out, but that's a second order concern. And we're seeing it happen in Ukraine right now. Having a decentralized method of a store of wealth is very important to people who have serious concerns about border disputes. We're lucky here because we're not afraid that Canada is going to come down on us or that Mexico is going to come up on us, right? We actually are in a very fortunate part of the world. Aside from Australia, I mean, everyone has these land disputes and border disputes. And it might not even be about forcibly being chased from your home. There are governments that seek to criminalize political opposition. And what do? They'll either take your money, they'll lock up your money, or lock you up, or both, right? So a disintermediated store of record keeping would be hugely valuable to these people. Okay, so we really want to think about where in a developed economy, though, would this technology be helpful? I'm agnostic about the inherent value of Bitcoin. I don't really care. But when Elon Musk tweets about it and it hits 60K, serious developers start looking at the promise of the underlying technology. And now there are actual projects that are value adding and elegant implementations, not just another shitcoin, like we say. Okay, so really, most people didn't notice Bitcoin until it hit 20K in December 2017. So this was a big deal, right? And the news, everyone was like, how are you going to talk about it at Thanksgiving? How are you going to talk about it at Christmas? We had these meetups in San Francisco where you have cocktails and talk about Bitcoin. And then people were like, let's buy real estate with Bitcoin. Let's get paid in Bitcoin. Let's transact in Bitcoin. But then people realized, okay, wait, this is a very clunky and slow technology. Microsoft stopped accepting it. Even the freaking Miami Bitcoin conference stopped accepting it for a while. That's weird, right? So then it tumbles down just within a year. And then the news says, how are you going to talk to your family members that last year you told to buy Bitcoin, right? And then we hit crypto winter. So there was crypto winter for several years. But then in 2020, we started hitting a bull market. And then in 2021, it hit 60K, right? And now I like to think of Bitcoin as everything rises with the Bitcoin tide. So here, this is the Google search trends. And as Bitcoin is going up in price, you're seeing that now more people are curious about Bitcoin than our president, right? This wouldn't work for Trump if I used Trump in the graph, by the way. Okay, so now what else rises with the Bitcoin tide? People are now curious about decentralized applications. They're curious about NFTs. They're curious about the metaverse. So all these things rise with the Bitcoin tide. So now I'm seeing, I think I'm over, and I think I'll spend 2 minutes to go over the taxonomy of crypto, and then we'll go into Q&A. So then what is a cryptocurrency? It's like I said, it's a method of record keeping. And the question is, what are you keeping a record of? So it would be like if someone hands me a piece of paper and asks, what is this? I don't view that piece of paper as a separate asset class. It's really, what am I going to do with it? I could print money on it. I could print a concert ticket. I could print the deed to a home or the title to a car or a stock certificate. So that piece of paper is a vehicle by which you deliver existing asset classes that we're already familiar with. That's what crypto is. It's a vehicle. It's a record-keeping system. And what are you keeping a record of? With Bitcoin, it was as a global medium of exchange. With Ethereum, this is actually a utility token. So if anyone has programmed before, imagine when you're coding, when you compile that code, what if you had to pay a Python coin to compile it? And now anyone who wants to call or use a function that you've compiled, now they have to pay Python coin to access it. Ethereum is a big computing system, a distributed computing system. And ETH is what's used to fuel the smart contracts or the programs on this system. Now, what gets confusing is that sometimes these coins don't just sit in one category. ETH got so popular that people accepted it as a medium of exchange. But it would be like if Walmart gift certificates, if Walmart became so popular that I go to a restaurant and they say you can give cash, credit, or some of those Walmart gift certificates, right? Then now that becomes a medium of exchange because Walmart is so popular, but the Walmart gift certificate really originally was a utility token that you can only use within the Walmart framework. That's what most of these coins are. They're utility tokens. You're accessing a good or service within a defined framework. Some of these were de facto security. So like I said, this is a record-keeping system. You can have it record who owns a share of a money market mutual fund. So it could be a de facto security. Or it could be what we call a meme coin, right? So there's no real practical value attached to it. Dogecoin and Shiba, those are examples. But again, Dogecoin became so popular, people started accepting it as a method of payment. It would be like when the Beanie Babies were popular, right? If maybe your housekeeping says, you can give us cash or a couple of those Beanie Babies. Now that's become a medium of exchange. So really, it's what are you keeping a record of?
We're ready for Q&A now? Thank you, Seoyoung. So we've got our red badgers, so raise your hand, and we'll also be taking some questions from Zoom.
Yes, Finn Jensen. I just have a couple of questions. One, I read a Wall Street Journal article where a wage earner wakes his wife up and says, honey, we just lost $100,000. Okay. One question, was $2 billion lost since the beginning of the year? And second, what can the government do to protect vulnerable Americans and others?
I think that's another question that comes with crypto. If it is supposed to be disintermediated, then you don't have a backstop that's guaranteed by the government. But right now, so part of DeFi is relearning why CeFi came about, right? Because people say, well, we don't want banks. And then they start doing things and realizing they're not good at being their own bank, right? So we actually have intermediaries that have stepped up that are going to be a custodian of your crypto. Now that moves away from the idea of it, right? The people that lost a lot of money, a lot of them were engaged in leveraged positions on crypto. It's something that wouldn't have happened in a regulated financial environment, but with crypto, it wasn't regulated. I'm not sure what the solution is, but sometimes we do have to protect people from themselves.
Fernando.
I just wondered, this country has had a difficult time moving into the metric system, and we can't. So I wonder if you can tell us what is the real complaint about our current money system compared to what is it that cryptocurrency resolves?
No, that's a great question because for us, we're not worried about being forcibly chased from our homes. I seriously would leave money with Wells Fargo, right? We don't have a trust issue in our central intermediaries, but we want to think about in a developed economy where this type of technology would be valuable. And one is areas that are rife with inherent mistrust of the central operator. If you Google, lawsuit, scandal, dark pool, there's always a concern that the central operator of the dark pool, if you're a financial institution that needs to ramp up a position or offload a position, you don't do it in one of the 13 lit markets because you'll completely obliterate what you were trying to do through the price discovery process and through the market impact that you have. So you're going to do it in a dark pool. Now, by dint of what a dark pool is, there are about 40 or 50 registered trading venues that are dark pools and not lit markets in the way that you think about a stock exchange. Now, those are legitimate areas to trade, but you're worried that the central operator is going to say, Lawrence, quick, get in. I see a big order and I'm in a front run. That's totally illegal. Well, who's going to know? So there are lots of lawsuits and inherent mistrust. If you use this technology, because think about an exchange, a stock exchange is really a method of record keeping. You're recording who has traded the asset, right? You can use this now to have decentralized dark pools. That is a value adding and elegant use case of this underlying technology. And now we have decentralized exchanges. It's only for crypto right now. But imagine if we did that with dark pools. You wouldn't have a central operator that you don't trust. So hopefully that's one of many answers.
Sean, before we get to you, I want to ask a question from Zoom, from Jeff Pelly. Is cryptocurrency hackable and stealable? And if so, what are the realistic recourses people have?
So in terms of scalability, there are layer 2 solutions right now. There's a blockchain trilemma that's a widely held belief that if you're trying to scale, you're going to have to give up either your decentralization or your security. Because when we talk about blockchain technology, really, this is all from CS literature that goes to fault-tolerant systems. So in CS, you wanted to make sure that a network of computers, if one of them goes down, the whole system doesn't just stop. That's fault tolerance. And in fault tolerance, you're always striking a balance between liveness and safety. So 100% live would mean I let all transactions go through, but that's not safe. 100% safe would mean I don't let any transactions go through, but that's not live. So with the scalability problems, these layer 2 solutions still haven't proven that they can break this blockchain trilemma. They're either now using centralized solutions, because look how convenient and fast it is. It is faster and more efficient if you trust a central operator to record everything. This is why, I mean, for us, when we buy stock on Fidelity or Charles Schwab, it's never in our name. It is your right to call up the transfer agent and say, I want that 1 share of Microsoft stock in my name. And everyone would probably roll their eyes, but they do it. It's onerous though. When you buy a share of Microsoft stock, it's in street name. Fidelity holds a bunch of Microsoft stock in their name, and then on their little spreadsheet, they'll -1 from me and +1 to someone else, right? So that centralization is what makes things more efficient. And that's how we're scaling right now, is predominantly through either removing some aspects of the decentralization, or it's been shown that some of these solutions aren't that safe. There have been a lot of hacks. Now, the Bitcoin blockchain and the Ethereum blockchain have never been hacked, but smart contracts have been hacked and exchanges have been hacked.
So, yeah, hackable. But not Bitcoin. Sean.
Or Ethereum.
This is a lot of great information, but you're going to have to talk to me like I'm 5. Because two questions. Are you saying that crypto can be is safer, or is getting safer than cash, than banks? 1. And
let me first answer that. I'm not saying that it's safer in certain ways, so it depends on what you mean by safe. If you mean volatile, absolutely not. It is not safer. It's not a good store of wealth. It's very volatile. And it's never used as a unit of account because it's so volatile. Okay, next question. Or second question, and then we'll weave it together.
Isn't there a limited amount of Bitcoin? And if there is, what's the end? And how much is there?
So the answer is probably, and I'll explain why. So all of these protocols can be updated, and they are through a process called BIPs. There are Bitcoin improvement proposals, and with Ethereum, there are Ethereum improvement proposals that are called EIPs. So now with Bitcoin, it is supposed to be capped at 21 million. The community of miners can submit a Bitcoin improvement proposal and say, let's remove this cap. I don't think they will, because that particular community, they're religious adherents to the original Satoshi dream. So yes, it is probably limited to 21 million. Every so often, we call it the halvening, the block reward for mining a new block. That's the compensation for the people that are keeping this record-keeping system safe. The block reward, it's cut in half. It used to be 50 Bitcoin. Then it was 25, 12 and a half, 6 point, And so it's going to keep getting smaller and smaller. And then once 21 million Bitcoin are newly generated, it's supposed to stop. And I think the estimates are that that should happen in like 2100 or something like that. So it's far away, but it's still something to consider because the community can alter that. I just don't think they will because they're such religious adherents.
Okay, I made the mistake of letting Sean O'Kane ask a really complicated question. So that's all the time we have for questions, but I'm sure that Seoyoung will be around if you would like to ask her Other questions? Thank you so much for this fascinating presentation. We have made a donation in your name to the San Jose Jazz Aid Fund, which Brendan mentioned before. Okay. You can ring it. Okay. And we also have one more from Jeff Hare celebrating his son Will's wedding, and that was on Zoom. And next week we've got former NFL ref, and you probably hear him on Fox still, Mike Perea, on finding a purpose in life, and I think he's now at the U.S. Football League. So we'll keep the good times rolling next week. Have a great time, and this meeting's adjourned.